to 45 or 48 to, I'm sorry, 18 is your final score here on 103.9 The Bulldog, your Alexa The Bulldog app, 103.9thebulldog.com. We're joined here by a special guest, Freddie Maggard. You all know him, had a great year at Cumberland, had a great career at Kentucky. And Freddie, we thank you for joining us here on 103.9 The Bulldog. Your thoughts on this game tonight between Johnson Central and Letcher Central?
Yeah, before we get to that, I listen to you all every Friday, so it's neat to be in the booth with a legend. So yeah, I listen to you guys every game of the week I'm at. I listen to you guys. So Johnson Central is who Johnson Central is. 5 straight possessions with 11 touchdowns.
What do you got, buddy?
At the end of one pass was intercepted by Quillen. Grant Bingham is an SEC offensive. So I thought the game, Johnson Central stuck to who they are and to their personality and their culture. Ran the football extremely well. I think losing Handing hurt Letcher County Central. Carson Adams, Letcher, he really impressed me the way he played. Just like Kentucky went to Georgia, sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the victor and say, good game, and move on. These two teams can see each other again, and 4A is wide open. So, it was a great mountain atmosphere. The facilities are great. Letcher County Central were a tremendous host, and really got a great team. And I appreciate it, but back to the game, the better team won tonight. I mean, it's just the way football happens, and the better team won the game.
Early on, when Letcher Central came out and scored, though, did that kind of maybe you knew Johnson was going to write back, but do you think, or score back? But do you think that it really set a good, very encouraging momentum booster for the Cougars to not give up and to keep fighting?
Yeah, and against a team as good as Johnson Central, you only get so many chances. The missed wheel route that was just slightly overthrown there, and some other chances that Letcher County Central had. But the saying of remember the Titans, it's like Novocaine, just give it time. That Johnson Central run game is just so efficient, and it appears complex but simplistic, which is a great thing for a coach, is to have repetitions over and over with what you're doing. The players know what to expect, and that ground game is as good as any in Kentucky. And I've seen just about every team in the state, and I was really impressed with them.
Going forward, of course, Johnson Central or Letcher Central on the road at Bourbon County next week. That's another tough 4A battle. You know a little bit about Bourbon, of course. Yeah. David Jones used to be at Phelps, but he played Lexington Catholic tough, and so maybe get a little preview of Bourbon County next week. Yeah,
Bourbon County is going to be a well-coached team. Majority of the staff are former UK players, so that leads to them teaching the game of football. But I like what I saw from Letcher County, Junior Matthews team. Tough, they never gave up. They fought to the very end, and there's a lot to build on here. Again, I really want to, I hope Handing is okay. Yeah. Because he is such a weapon for Adams to throw the football to on the slip screens down the field. But Letcher County, Johnson Central took away Letcher County Central's run game, forced them to be one-dimensional, and with that you can play deeper in the zone and keep everything in front of you, and that's what they did.
And Freddie, I don't know if you know this, tonight was the first time this is only the 5th meeting between Johnson Central and Letcher Central. First time that Letcher Central's ever hasn't scored on them in 2 years more than one touchdown.
Yeah. So it was. Again, a lot to be excited about if you're a Letcher County Central fan. But just sometimes you run into a team like Johnson Central. Right now, Johnson Central and Corbin are 1-2 or 1A and 1B and 4A from what I've seen. And I've seen all the 4A teams, the major 4A teams play. So this is a good football team. This happens. It's just how you respond to this. How do you answer getting beat on your own field by a team that's very good? How do you answer? You can't let Johnson Central beat you twice if you're Letcher Central. You can't let this affect how you prepare and how you go to Bourbon County.
And Freddie, just wanted to ask you real quick. You said you've seen all the 4A teams, just kind of maybe shifting gears here. I was telling Bull, even though last week against Georgia it was a 30-13 loss for the Cats, their first one of the season, but I still felt like there was a lot of positives from that. Yeah. No score after one, only a 14-7 game at halftime, kind of like what we saw with Johnson Central tonight. The depth a little bit maybe got Letcher Central, and that maybe was the same case with the Cats last week. Yeah. Granted, Georgia's talent that they have.
Yeah, that Georgia defense is. I was talking to Bull before we ate supper before the game here. I think you're going to look back at that as same as the 2019 LSU offense, just a special collection of talent. The LSU offense has 11 players drafted. I think this Georgia defense has just that. But Kentucky, during film study this week, were kicking themselves in the rear end because there were a lot of opportunities. The fumble that wasn't recovered, 6 drop passes, on and on. Kentucky, if you catch the football, if you recover that, a lot of ifs. But Kentucky had chances against Georgia. And when you play a team like Georgia or Johnson Central, when you have a chance to capitalize, you have to pounce. Kentucky didn't.
And I just want to ask you going forward, and again, we thank you for coming on. I know, Bull, you've got to want to talk with them as well. We want you to get in there, maybe get a good story there. Let's just say this hypothetically. If Kentucky could eventually go, we're dreaming here a little bit.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, 50-50. Haven't won there since 2008. You've got a chance to win. It was a blocked field goal there at the end, and I believe it was a blocked extra point as well, too. I think it was Braxton Kelly that got one of those, and maybe Micah Johnson was the other. And then, of course, then you got Tennessee. That's always a crazy game with Kentucky and everything. Then you've got at Vanderbilt, New Mexico State, then at Louisville, which I think is going to be a tough game depending on the health and stuff. But let's just think here for a moment. How crazy would it be for Kentucky and Big Blue Nation, because each week is different, to go 11-1 and somehow sneak into that playoff?
Yeah, that would be. There's a lot of things have to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, Georgia has to lose a couple times. But yeah, it's great. But there are 2 games that Kentucky will win in the back end of that schedule.
Yeah.
New Mexico State, Vanderbilt. I mean, unless something major happens. 3 should wins, but Mississippi State had only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns prior to Alabama last week. That is a good defense. The air raid, the offense is not there, but the defense is very good. Tennessee is playing extremely well. Hendon Hooker, at quarterback, that's what got them going. He's back. He's not hurt. He's going to play against Alabama. So, he makes a difference there. Tennessee is much better than we thought. So the back end of the schedule is much more difficult. We thought the front end was going to be the tough part.
Yeah.
The tough part is going to be the back end because Malik Cunningham at Louisville can score in bunches. So that's a tough stretch that Kentucky has to get on. But if you look at the bare minimum of 8 wins, then you build off that. That's a more realistic approach of what Kentucky can do.
And I got to ask, and maybe Bull's been to a lot of games, you've been to a lot of games. I've been, I think, over 30 now at Commonwealth, maybe a little bit more. But was that the loudest you've ever heard Florida a few weeks ago?
Yeah, that was the loudest I've ever heard the stadium. It was crazy loud, which is great. I'm more happy. I'm happy for the players, the coaches. I love them all. They're all friends of mine, but I was really happy for the fans because Bull and I started going there. We invented the catwalk. And, to hear that, to see those fans happy and celebrating like that, that brings a joy to me.
I think we also invented tailgating. We did it out of necessity because our dads was used to leaving home at 5 a.m. to get to a 1 o'clock kickoff, so we had to take something.
We were always the first people in the parking lot.
Before the police got there.
And then we would go when the players got off the bus. So I like to think that the Creeches and Maggards invented the catwalk.
We was there when it started.
Yeah, we started it all, didn't we, Bull, man?
Yeah, we did.
And Freddie, with Bull and everything, any memories that you maybe have? I know that you were born in Letcher County. I know you went down there to Cumberland and everything. But real quick before you get out of here, just what do the mountains really mean to you? I know it's home, but playing in the mountains and being an athlete and just some of your fond memories that you had that you can remember between maybe Letcher County and Harlan County, if you want to add that.
Well, the rivalry with Whitesburg was real when I was here. It was still a rivalry, and it was a fun game no matter what sport that we played in. And it was one that I enjoyed. But for me, the mountains, I spent an hour today at Cumberland High School football field, just me in the stands by myself, just looking, just watching, just thinking, and thinking about the good times, the bad times, the sad, the players, the teammates that are no longer with us, and it was an emotional hour for me to sit there, knowing probably the last time I'll ever be in that stadium, because there's no football in Tri-Cities anymore, which breaks my heart. So nobody uses that stadium anymore. So I don't know.
Harold Strout.
Yeah, Harold Strout Memorial Coliseum Stadium. So it was an emotional hour for me.
I'd like to say before we get out of here. Thank you so much for coming back here with KSR, covering this game and putting a little spotlight on the mountains. Of course, you know, me and my brothers was probably the biggest fans you ever had in your life. Kentucky football's never been the same since you graduated. I still love it, but it could never be as special as the first time I saw you run out there in that uniform. I just felt you lived all our dreams.
Yeah.
And
I felt that too.
I know you did, and I know you earned each and every moment of it. I seen some of the tough sides of playing football in the SEC.
Yeah.
I remember LSU game. He came out of the locker room. He looked like he'd been in a car wreck.
Yeah, I felt like I've been in the
Black and blue and cut and beat, and so it's not all glitz and glamour. But I just want to tell you, you know, you was a hero of ours. Although I helped raise you. But thank you so much for coming back and shining light on mountain football again. And it's home.
Yeah, it is home.
It's extremely special.
Our trips that we made to Commonwealth Stadium,
Right.
you know, when I was a player, one thing that I would do, we stayed at the Holiday Inn at Athens Exit. So it was right on 575. So after meetings and walkthroughs and film and all that, I get some time to myself before a game, and I would go out to the fence where I could see the exit of I-75 coming into Lexington, the interstate, and I would see all those flags, the blue flags, and it would get me emotional, thinking that these people are coming to watch us play, watch me play from back home. And I can remember as a little kid being in that car. So I always use that as motivation, and my main goal, and I told Bull this a zillion times, my main goal was to make people in the mountains proud, because I was one of them, and still one of them, you know, and I wanted to use that platform. But, you know, just little things like that, seeing the cars coming back home, that really meant a lot to me.
Well, I can remember you making a statement that when you signed, and George Couch was right there with you signing, and you guys told me, said, when we get down here, a lot of people say the mountain kids won't stay.
That's true.
They won't hang in there. And both of you told me that you was going to see to it. That was part of your goal, was no matter what it brought, you was going to stay and tough it out, and you did, and you had good times and tough times. And like I said again, you're a legend in these mountains. I watched you play probably 85% of your sporting events: baseball, basketball, and football. And it's been a wonderful day seeing you, having you here at the game.
Yeah, it's been.
If anybody had ever told me that me and you would be in a broadcast,
I would have never believed it, would you?
You've got pretty good odds on that, I think.
What do you think Vegas would have given?
Well, Freddie Bull asked me yesterday. He said, "Can we get Freddie on here?" I said, "Do you know who you're talking to?" I said I interviewed him at the state tournament there in 2016, and again, like he said, we appreciate you being on here on 103.9 The Bulldog and talking with us.
Well,
And,
see, Matt Jones stole my personal info on UK football. You can ask him. I'd call him all the time. This guy we signed, Freddie, is he good? Well, we'll see. What's the matter with this guy? Well, Bull, he's hurt. Nobody knows. Well, he gave me all the scoop for all these years. And then Matt Jones hires him, and I'm like, man, you stole my connection. But he still give it to me.
Yeah.
But then he had to share it with the world.
You know, you talk about paying everything forward. And that's kind of, I love doing that. And you know, I enjoy coming back from now. Obviously, I love the mountains, but paying it forward, I'm covering Grant Bingham here for Johnson Central, and he is getting ready to start his journey. You know, and I know it's not easy, and I know there's a lot of stuff that goes involved with playing in the SEC. But it's exciting to see he's starting his, and I think Kentucky's getting a real good one.
He looked good tonight.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he's a hawk.
Freddie, I was going to say, because you mentioned talking about playing for people in the mountains before we let you go here. I've spoken to Miss Potter's media class up here at Letcher County Central, and there's a couple of guys that want to do sports. So let's say they continue that and want to maybe go to Lexington, because you've gotten to work with Tom Leach, you mentioned Matt Jones and a few other people. What would you say from somebody that maybe has a hard time leaving the mountains or doesn't think they can make it?
I've got some interns that work for us now that cover high school sports, that kind of direct where they go and coordinate with the athletic directors. And I tell them, you got to get as much documentation as you can. You have to get as many articles online, no matter where it is, and then keep going at it, and keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep, with the interns, they'll write a story, then like, okay, was this what you expected? Then I'll give them tips, a little, So, it's not about who you start working for. With KSR, I say this with all humility, we're the biggest one in the country. We're the biggest sports blog in the nation. But there are a lot of outlets out there, and those young folks that work with us, and they get out there and they get after it. I got one going to Henry County at North Laurel tomorrow night just to get experience. They'll cover anything just to get experience, and it's leading for them to get a job. One thing about Matt is, when he looks back and all this is said and done, the number of careers that he's helped launch is about like Y&T. I mean, look at the people that's come out of Y&T. So it's all about getting a chance and getting noticed and just working hard, man. It's not easy. I mean, I swear to God, hitting sand on an article is more nerve-wracking to me than staring down the Alabama Blitz. I ain't gonna lie to you. Because you got grammar in play, you've got punctuation, you've got all this stuff, and then every mistake, trust me, everybody's gonna point it out. So you can't have thin skin. You have to say, okay, I'll fix that. I'll do better and be better next time.
I just wanted to add a slide comment there because you talked about Matt Jones. I was in his KSTV casting call back when he had it in Louisville years ago, and he kept urging me on and continuing to do it. I've always had positive experiences with Matt, and I'm not just saying that because you work with him. It's just the truth. And getting to be a semifinalist in his casting call 9 years ago, that's hard to believe it's been 9 years ago, really helped me grow a lot. And like you said, if you're going in this business, writing or broadcasting, you've really got to start from the bottom, and you've really got to pay your dues. And like you said, if it's Henry County and North Laurel, take it. Don't not take it. So I agree with what you said there. Go ahead.
This past week, my daughter facing the struggles of this world. We brought up, I was coaching at Artie Box, and we had an athletic bank and needed a speaker. And I called Freddie, of course. He attended Artie Box. It was Eola then. And I said, Fred, I'd like to see if you could speak. He just said, tell me what time and what day. And I did. And what I'm telling you that is to tell you this. His message to those kids from Cumberland River was, he grew up on Cumberland River. And he wanted them to know full well, when they go out in this world, they've got two strikes against them. That it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. You're going to get overlooked. You're going to get ridiculed. You're going to get put down because of where you're from. But the good news is that's not an end all. That you have to want it a little more. You have to work a little harder and understand that you're good enough. And I thought the message to those kids was tremendous, because she was talking about that this week. When you get out in the world, you're from really nowhere, and you have to fight and earn your place, and that's what he's done, and that's what he's encouraged many of the mountain kids. He's been a great ambassador. You can take the man out of the mountain, but you can't take the mountain out of the man.
Yeah, when I left Cumberland and went to the UK, I started my life with a coaching because of my accent, because of
Andy Griffith's friend. We laughed at it. We made fun of it. We get to the program in here, and they say, "What's your favorite TV show?" They had this ball, and he said, "Andy." So my brother Jamie, every time we was around, Andy'd be on. Fred, Andy's on, man.
But yeah, you start out 0-2 count, man. You got to fight through it and stick to and be proud of where you're from.
Exactly.
I'm so proud of where I'm from.
And that's what Coach Matt promotes to the max.
Yes.
I mean, and that's why we should promote these kids. They need
Absolutely
that little nudge and help.
Absolutely. You know, when this game was chosen, I was so excited.
I was too.
I called before it was public. I said, man, this has got a chance.
He said, you know, we put in for it.
Yeah.
And he called me back and said, man, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And I was excited. These are beautiful facilities. These kids, these young folks here need to be really proud of this and take care of this because, you know, this is an advantage that none of us ever had. You know, we practiced on their game field. It was a mud bath from October 1st throughout the playoffs. It was mud. I have something like this.
I don't want to throw down on any of the schools in this area, but some fields were
horrible, especially when we came.
Well, and Freddie, this is I don't know if you knew this before you came up here, but they just laid this turf this season.
It's new. It's nice. It's a lot softer and better than the turfs I've been on. It's bouncier, so a lot to be proud of here. And this team fought really hard tonight, played hard, but sometimes you just go against the team like Georgia. You go against the team like Johnson Central. You tip your cap, you answer the bell. We got to go back to work. Mark Stoops, love it. And he says that, people get mad every week. Oh, he's going to say the same thing. We just got to go back to work. Well, you just got to go back to work. What other option does this team have? You can't let Johnson Central beat you next week.
You know, he's simple. He does what he says. And you all talked a while ago about the schedule and the big picture, but I guarantee you, Mark Stoops is worried about one football team right now. That's Mississippi.
Yeah,
100%.
And real quick, and I know we've kind of kept you a little longer. There's still a little more cars going on, but I just got to say this: what about Vince Marrow? What about Liam Cohen? What they're doing in everybody talking the new Brad White, the defense coordinator. We had a really good guy a few years ago, Matt House.
Yeah.
People forget about him, and I'm like, that dude was a solid, foundational for this Kentucky team. And then, of course, losing Coach Schlarman and what he did last year. But you got to really be positive with the way Kentucky football is going and how these players are invested. I did want to get your comment really quick. I've never met him, hope to one day maybe, but Dan Mullen, not knowing Wandale Robinson. I know coaches know numbers and stuff, but come on, you got to know Wandale.
Yeah, he found out who Mr. Robinson was after the game. No, Mark Stoops is a wonderful man, a dear friend. Love him. Vince Marrow, same. Vince Marrow's really going to like Grant Bingham. I mean, he loves Grant Bingham. Trust me. He thinks the world of Grant Bingham. So, those guys, they've worked so hard to get to this point. And just imagine when, recruiting right now is going at an all-time level. Imagine when Kentucky is a player development program. I mean, you get them in there, no matter what star they are, Kentucky maximizes their talent. They get every ounce out of it. Imagine when you get a bunch of Grant Bingham, a bunch of 4 and 5 stars, then you start maxing that out. This Kentucky offensive line class with Grant Bingham and Keontae Goodwin out of Louisville, that's 2 of the best in the country.
You get the Wagner kid.
Yeah, and Wagner out of Ohio. Yeah. That's 3 of the best in the country. So Kentucky, Mark Stoops has developed a culture, he's developed a personality, and he's recruited to that. This team is together. They have some senior leaders, DeAndre Square, Josh Pascal, who I love, Luke Fortner. Luke Fortner, the center, just to give you a quick example, he has an engineering degree, a master's degree in engineering, and a master's degree in business management. And he's an all-SEC center. And he's an all-SEC center. So after he's done playing in the NFL, he'll So that just goes to show you. And Josh Pascal, 3-time team captain, done a tremendous. Matt House, he now is with the Chiefs. I talk to him every now and then. I know Matt, he's a great guy. But Brad White, I'm telling you, is a head coach. He's going to be a head coach. And he is a top coordinator in the country. Liam Cohen, I was tough on UK's offense leading up to LSU because Florida and South Carolina struggled, didn't do very much. Didn't do very much.
Well, and even UT Chattanooga, if you think about it.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, when are we going to start seeing this? And then the respect I've gained for Will Levis against Georgia, he's the quarterback. Kentucky has finally found a quarterback that can take this team to compete for the East, because he stood tall against that Georgia defense, completed 32 passes. That's a lot, you know.
He can make plays when they're really not.
He's tough too. He's tough. He reminds me of Carson Adams at a college level.
Wow.
You remind me talking about captain, something I'm gonna share with everybody. When you went to UK and you was named team captain, my dad, when we heard the news, I don't remember if it was TV, radio, anyway, he paused and he said, "It's one thing to go down there and get on the team." He said, "But that's one of ours that went down there and is captain."
Yeah.
He took tremendous pride in that, and
I love how UK honors that.
Yeah.
When we get back for events, you get T-shirts or golf shirts, and they put a C for captain on the players.
Hey, it's an honor, man.
It's an honor. I take this as that.
Well, you know, Freddie, I just want to say real quick, I have season home tickets, so after the games are over, I always try to go down there, talk to the players, say something encouraging like, "Great win, I'm praying for you," just so many different things. But I'll just tell you this, after the UT Chattanooga game, and it goes to kind of what you were saying about Vince Merrill and what he can do and get the people out of Ohio. I met J.J. Weaver's dad, young dude, great guy. And we were just there talking, and he was telling me about the relationships and how much Coach Merrill, not just Coach Hoops, but Coach Merrill has invested into these players. And so the longer we can keep Coach Merrill around, because I know even Matt Jones and others thought he might leave, but the more we can keep him around, and I got to get him a bag of Fritos somehow, some way.
So dog out with dynamite. he is
dug in.
Dug in. Yeah, Lexington is his home, and with Mark the same way. I mean, it would be hard for me to see him ever leave, which I hope he does. I hope he retires there. And you know, I can't see it, but Brad White is eventually going to leave.
Yeah.
You know, Kentucky's finished in the top 5 in the SEC for 2 consecutive years. Led the SEC in pass defense in 2 consecutive years, and right now sitting at 3rd in total defense. And that's with a lot of players that are not going to play in the NFL. They have some pros now. Kentucky has pros, but not the level of Georgia, not the level of Florida, not the level of LSU. That LSU game was a coaching clinic.
Can I say that?
It was a clinic. Brad White took the offensive coordinator to school.
Yeah.
Leon Cohen took the defensive coordinator to school. Mark Stoops was head and shoulders the best head coach. Look at the decisions to go for 2. Kentucky resulted in a touchdown. LSU didn't get it, had the best kicker in the country on the sideline. Game got out of control after LSU didn't convert. So it was a coaching clinic, and that's what I took away from LSU. Other than LSU has a bunch of pros. They're so talented.
Yeah, they're underachieving.
But now look at them. They're all out for a shoulder surgery. You know, they're all out now after the Kentucky game.
You think Kentucky will get Marquand McCall back?
No, I don't. No. I think it's going to be a while, I mean, nobody's told me anything, but just reading the tea leaves, just reading Stoops at press conferences, I think he's out for a while.
That size man, guys, you got to have some strong stuff down there to handle the shifts and cuts.
The key is getting Josh Ali back.
Yeah.
You know, Georgia exposed Kentucky's receivers. You know, I know Harris had a few catches, and Epps had a couple drops, had a couple catches, but you can't have just one receiver and compete against a defense like Georgia. I mean, let's take Georgia out. You can't compete against a defense like Mississippi State, Tennessee. Tennessee's got a good defense.
Yeah.
Louisville's not very good defense. But Tennessee and Mississippi State are really good defenses. You can't beat them just with one receiver. And trust me, Leon Cohen has done a great job of scheming open tight ends, running backs.
Yeah.
You know, and then Isaiah Cummings goes down against Georgia. I don't know about that situation. That young man's going to be a star. I can't imagine Leon Cohen having Isaiah Cummings and Keaton Upshaw at tight end in the passing game, and that's going to be pretty to watch.
Well, you know, there's a lot of film out on teams now. You can fool people a little early,
But not now.
but there's so much film.
Yeah.
They know what you got and don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. Kentucky's done a lot of self-scouting this week, too.
Sure.
The best thing for them is to rest up, heal up, dial back in, and get back to work because they got a tough back end of the schedule.
If you can say just really quick in the last few years, what's been your favorite Mark Stoops game if you have one? Because I'm thinking of so many, but you know, that you could even go back to Benny Snell if you wanted to. I mean,
you know, the win at Missouri may not be
I was thinking that.
a highly ranked team, But Drew Lock was a top 2 or 3 round draft pick, the quarterback. Kentucky held Missouri to 0 first downs in the second half. 0.
Yeah.
That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Bowden told him he was going to run the punt back.
Yeah.
I tell you one I liked was the Louisville game when we were 4 touchdown underdogs.
Yeah.
But as the kid kicked the field goal to win it, the players had stooped from behind him, picked him up off the ground, and he's holding motion for the players down the sideline.
You know, and I could talk about Mark Stoops all day. Sure. One thing about Stoops, teams don't really blow a lot of teams out.
Right.
Mark Stoops will not embarrass anybody. He is a professional as a coach. Even Louisville. Even the year Kentucky was light years ahead at Louisville, and he was boldest, you know. I mean, that's just how he is, because his dad was a coach. His brother, he's been around football, you know.
Smart football people.
Yeah, and he knows karma. It comes around.
They've been on the road. All my life, Alabama would beat you 28-7. If you want to score 18 points, okay, they score 35.
Yeah.
Every time they got a 2-touchdown lead, they subbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they kept experience and they kept their programs.
Yeah, and that's what Mark Stoops is doing. Yeah.
And Freddie, Terry Wilson, I just want to say this real quick. He had a great career at Kentucky, and I hope that Kentucky fans will always remember him because he did a lot of great stuff.
Great stuff.
First wins at Tennessee and Florida for the program.
First quarterback
under
beat
center.
Tennessee, Florida, and Louisville.
Yeah.
You know, Louisville on the road, Tennessee on the road, and Florida on the road. I love Terry Wilson. I think he did a tremendous job. The offense wasn't a pass-friendly offense. He had very little help at receiver, and he was asked to do a lot of things that he did everything he was asked to do, and did it at a high level. And I know some fans got after Terry, and I didn't like that because I think he's a tremendous young man, and I know that he played his guts out, and I know he was never the same after he got hurt. I mean, that's a hard injury to overcome. And he still battled. He still fought. He still did everything he could to try to win football games. But I do think this Will Levis kid is something special to build on. But Kentucky's got to sign some game-changing receivers. I mean, it's time. Whether it be Dane Key at Frederick Douglass. I know the 5-star from Nashville, I can't remember his name, is down between Kentucky and Alabama. That would be a nice
We're
pickup.
talking like he's leaning their way. That was from an Alabama reporter.
Nikhil Crowdis come back from injury. Chris Lewis, who they signed last year, has got a chance to be good. But they got to get some help because I don't think, Wandale Robinson stay in Lexington could be short. If he gets a good draft grade, he needs to go.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell him to get out of town.
Just like Lynn Bowden.
Just like Lynn Bowden, just like
And NIL changes things.
Yes, it does.
I'd rather make a couple 100,000 play SEC footballs to make 400,000 have to play NFL.
It's changed a lot, but the way that works is the NFL Draft Advisory Board gives you 2 grades, right? 3 grades rather. When say Bulls and underclassmen, here's my film, here's me when you go to the NFL. They tell you first round, second round, go back to school. That's the only 3 answers that they're allowed to give. So they can't say you'll probably be a 3rd round or 4th round. First round, second round, go back to school. That's the only answers they're allowed to say. So Lynn Bowden to test the waters, but other than that, Kentucky going to lose some players. Darian Kennard, an All-American. I mean, he's an all-timer. Kennard's an all-timer.
Yeah.
Luke Fortner's off to the NFL. Josh Paschal, bless his heart, off to the NFL. DeAndre Square's going to get a chance. Yusuf Corker. So there's going to be a lot of pros, and I think what we had last year, 6 players drafted maybe. Yeah. I think you're going to see 5, 6, 7 from here on out every year.
I agree.
And that's when you start really getting the attention of these recruits, because history and tradition for them goes back to 2 tweets ago. They don't care what happened. I don't care if you're at Alabama. They don't want to see Bear Bryant. They don't want to see all. They want to see who you got in the NFL.
Exactly.
That's what I want to see as a prospect. So yeah.
Freddie, we've enjoyed talking with you. I know you got to get out of here and head back to Lexington. Thank you for coming and talking with us here on 103.9 The Bulldog.
Listen. I tune you guys in every week.
We greatly thank you for that. I know Bull he's a big part of that, and so I'm glad to have him as a broadcast partner, and I hope I get to have him for many, many more. And,
Freddie was my first call when you asked me to do it. I needed some tips, and I called Fred. Take me to school here, buddy.
Yeah, and you got your roster.
Yeah.
He wrote down all these numbers and names.
And then I come in here and they're taking on the desk now.
Well, it was also our AD Manus player who me and him talked this summer. Manus was my partner. He got the AD job, and I've told Greg this story many a times. I called Manus up and I said, who can I get to help me on Friday nights? And I was already thinking Greg Creech, and he said, let's get Bull. And I said, you read my mind. And then I remember calling Bull, and because I'd only met Bull at a Letcher Central boys basketball game a few years ago when they played Harlan Independent. Cal was there, Coach Derek Cal, and that's when I first met Bull. And I'm just so glad he's been on here, and thank you for helping him. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
And Freddie, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Many blessings to you, and anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
No, I'm grateful to be here. I've had a great time. Letcher County Central's treating me great. Just
Come back.
Wonderful hosts. I'd love to.
Come back soon.
You're more than
I'd
welcome
love
to anytime.
Yeah. We won't be back again this year because we try not to do repeats.
Sure. Well, you come back anytime, whether KS or.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like the quarterback a lot. Yeah, he's a tough kid.
Good deal.
He's a tough kid. I think he's going. I think he played his guts out there.
Yeah, Big Ed says he's a good quarterback, so that they are in the mountain.
I would agree with that.
I agree.
100%.
Makes a good decision.
Thanks, guys.
Freddie Maggard of Kentucky Sports Radio. We'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll have some post-game wrap-up here on 103.9 The Bulldog.
See you, boys.
Give some milk.
Oh, I'm good.
Huh?